Welcome to You're Not the Only One. This time we are focusing on what it's like to be a marketing manager or a business owner and to be wearing all those many hats that you're supposed to wear when you're in marketing or when you're running your own business. You're trying to juggle everything. You're trying to juggle running your business, doing strategy, doing sales, making sure that everything's just pulling together. So today we're going to unpick that a little bit and see what the priorities should be and how you can figure all of that out and how you can make a difference to your business or in your department. So today I've got a very experienced head of marketing, Kevin Walton, who works at the Original Baker currently, but has also worked at Wren Kitchens and thefoodmarket.com. So we'll be talking about what's going on actually in the market, but also what it's like when you're wearing all those hats and how you can judge whether something's working and whether there's room to change or whether you need to stick with something. So great to have you here, Kevin. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself, about your journey and how you've ended up where you are?
Sure. So I'm Kevin. I've been in marketing now for 15 years, working for both SMEs and billion-pound brands. And I've done a bit of everything from brand building, creative director, SEO, designer. And I guess I'm at that stage now where I'm trying to learn to balance that creative and commercial aspect and the kind of the downright chaotic side of it as well.
Okay. So you've worked with Wren and you're now at the Original Baker. Are they similar sized businesses or are they was Wren much bigger? What's the difference?
So when I joined Wren, I was there for over 10 years. When I joined, I think the turnover was sitting around about £450 million when I first joined. And when I left, the revenue was about 1.2 billion. So within that time, it was astronomical growth. Malcolm Healy, who owns Wren Kitchens, was absolutely instrumental in everything that moved forward that business and really kind of understood that to get the best out of people, you've got to give them the best, allow them to have that freedom. And that's what Wren do really well. They allow you to go and specialize in your field. Absolutely, questions will be asked, but they allow you the time to not only develop, but really kind of run away with your own ideas.
That's really
yeah, absolutely. And I guess moving forward, we're at the Original Baker. We're doing amazingly well. Certainly not at the levels of Wren Kitchens in terms of turnover just yet. I'm sure the aspiration is for us to be able to become £1 billion business one day. The food market sector is a very noisy sector. And we're just trying to understand now through a rebrand of our own how we can just expand that a little bit further.
Okay. Is there anything what was the biggest shock moving from one to another? And is there anything you miss or anything that you don't miss?
I mean, absolutely. Wren was a wonderful education place in terms of there was a lot of resources available to you, which allowed you to not worry about the smaller details, I guess. The ability to kind of run away with a campaign and really test that at high levels was fantastic. And I guess the difference in the likes of the foodmarket.com and the Original Baker is we do need to be a little bit more strategic with a more kind of aligned budget with where the brand is. You do have to be a little bit more focused and home in on those things that, again, what we talk about, moving the needle. The ability to kind of allow a campaign as a brand awareness is fantastic for some brands that have the ability to do that. But those that really require on for that campaign to bring in a revenue stream for you to then ruin that again becomes complex in many different ways. And sometimes you can lose focus about the brand. We always try to bring it back and realign those things prior to launch. There's obviously a mindfulness, an SME that you do need to create that revenue stream as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately what you're all doing it for, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So in a smaller business, so I tend to work with smaller product-based businesses. Their marketing can look like anything from doing photographs to managing the website to making sure they know all about their customers and doing market research. What does it look like for you?
It's shifted. I've been in the business now about 18 months. When I first joined, as I mentioned, we were going through a rebrand. That rebrand not only was a change of logo, a change of tone of voice, but it was a shift of demographic as well. We wanted to align the brand not only within a more premium positioning of where the product actually sits in the market, but the young professionals, those that want a little bit more of a premium product. We wanted to align that demographic alongside it. And the balance is trying to make that adjustment without losing your identity and not alienating your core customer base in the first place. So that was very complicated. And I guess through that time and the change, we're still evolving now. We're still trying to understand, I guess, from a tone of voice, how we balance that. We are predominantly a B2B business. And when I have this conversation on a daily basis, that who are our customers? Is it the customers or is it the end user? Yes, our wonderful customers are the people that buy the product from us. But in any market, you need to create a product that's in demand. Customers will follow alongside that. So it's that I have that argument on a daily basis of who our customers actually are. And trying to align those can be difficult at times because you want to have your B2B tone of voice and your B2C tone of voice. And that follows through onto the socials as well. So I think the best thing is to utilize each platform for their purpose. If you've got a LinkedIn, there's some wonderful business professionals on there, buyers, decision makers. You can align your tone of voice to those people. And then on Instagram, if somebody is a little bit more following you from an aesthetical point of view, beautiful products, aspiring videos, you align your tone of voice alongside that. So the key is just to utilize these platforms for what their purpose is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I find this when I'm doing category stuff for clients. So like you say, their audiences on that case, it's the retailer and ultimately who's going to buy the product from that manufacturer. So positioning yourself in the best way, so you're telling them the best story about your product so that you can fit it into their range. However, ultimately, the people that are going to buy it, the consumers, they need to understand everything about them so that they
Absolutely.
can, tell that story as well. And it's really important to understand both and to be networking in, like, for example, on LinkedIn with those professionals, but also building your email list, building your brand, building that following. And I saw the other day that there was a 0% drinks company had managed to get in a magazine someone who was following them. It was a famous person. I can't remember who it was now, but they'd backed them and just said that they really enjoyed their drink, and that sort of stuff is golden.
Absolutely. And that storytelling is what really conveys who you are and what you do, why you do it. And again, we talk about kind of who the end customer is, and their goals are slightly different. From a business owner point of view, they may be selling 20, 30 different products. While education, sustainability, and all these things will come into play for their decision making, there are a few factors in there that sometimes do contribute more heavily. Things like cost, things like margin. They can sometimes persuade people's decision of whether they choose to sell your product. But really kind of understanding your business from ground to top and conveying your storytelling in a way that depicts all your USPs will allow you to kind of challenge some of those questions. So yes, you may be selling a premium product, but the premiumity comes with more care and attention, that handmade factor. small batch processes sometimes. All these things that mean, we're not mass market. You can't buy us off the shelf in Tesco's. And this is why people will pay a bit more. We look after the animals that may make your ingredients. We may source locally, sustainably, but all these practices do mean that maybe it isn't as cheap as what you'd maybe find in the supermarket. But educating your customers as well will really go a long way to making them understand the benefits of utilising businesses with these different types of processes and considerations in their manufacturing.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to understand as well, when you're doing the marketing for those types of businesses, what their capabilities are and what what can they actually produce before you go running away going, well, we could do this because there's a gap in the market for it. But actually, is it possible to do that and understand the logistics and the like you say, the sourcing of ingredients and all of that, understanding that fundamentally first before you go getting carried away marketing something that you might
And I
not be
think
able
that's
to.
testament to the original bakeries. I guess one of the internal ethoses is we don't cut corners. And when we mean that, it's we are who we are. We're a premium product, yes, but we try to do things in the best possible way. We still have some wonderful technicians in the factory who are hand crimping some of the pies. There's a lot of hand crafted elements still within our pastry making. Alongside that, again, we do use locally sourced ingredients. We use flour from Driffield, which is only 15 miles down the road from us. We take all of these practices into consideration. The boxes that we use for the packaging, wherever possible, is 100% recyclable card. That packaging is also collected as well. So we try to do everything we can. Again, aligning our core values, it does mean that we have to pass that cost on in some capacity within the price of the product. And what we try to do, and what we've done very well, is we don't cut corners. We're not going to make something with cheap offcuts of meat. We're not going to use robots to create our pies. We're not going to do packaging which is unhealthy for the environment. They're decisions that we've decided to make because, yes, it's not going to make us the cheapest in the market, but it's going to make us the best in the market what we do. And staying true to your values, staying true to your ethos of the business, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong.
And naturally, having that ethos and having those values means that you will attract people that have similar values and
Absolutely.
the budget to be able to afford those types of products.
Yeah, absolutely. Aligning your audience base, and we talked about how social media has been amazing at being able to reach demographics that maybe in historical times been very difficult to attract, and they're using it as an educational pieces. Really does allow us to really kind of contribute and tell our side of how we do the processes, the people behind the scenes, the amazing bakers, not only in manufacturing but in our NPD kitchen, Dan and Katie, who tirelessly try to come up with new ideas, new concepts, refine processes, and try and tell how what we do behind the scenes. It's something that we've tried to do along all the businesses that I've worked for. I guess within the food sector, which is a noisy sector, artisan bakers are popping up everywhere. Some amazing bakers right across the country, and trying to find something unique isn't always the easiest thing. There's only so many different variations of pastry you can have. But what we've tried to do is just tell our story. Everything else will align alongside that.
Brilliant. I was talking on my last podcast to photographer Kev Timmons, and he does a lot of photography in manufacturing processes and machinery. And he was saying, like you were saying about the people story, he said it's great if you can get someone actually using the machine and telling the story, because that then demonstrates whether that person is happy, which also attracts people to want to buy from you, but also it shows how the piece of equipment works and right down from whether it's a product or whether it's a machine, telling that story is really, really important.
And not only that, but the best advocates for any brand is your people. Yes, you can pay for PPC. Yes, you can pay for advertising. But really true word of, best advertising is instill the word of mouth, and especially the employees of the business. If they go on to tell people what wonderful products and employees you are, there's no kind of better accolade than that. So being able to tell their story. I hate using or seeing businesses use stock photos of their employees. It's a real pet hate of mine. There's real people behind the brands, and they're the people that make the brands as well. You have a wonderful product, but sometimes the people behind the brand really do carry it forward, and giving them the opportunity to talk about what they bring to the business is key. And I think that's something that we've tried to do pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so if you're wearing many hats in your day and you've got a meeting at the beginning of the day and a meeting at the end, how do you prioritise everything when things feel really urgent?
I mean, I constantly carry a notebook with me. Tessa, who I work with very closely, I think makes notes on top of my notes. I really do rely on Tessa sometimes because there's a lot of meetings going on. And I guess when you, from a holistic point of view of marketing, when you try to be involved in so many different aspects, you really do need to be able to rely on the people that you work with. And it's testament to our team at the Regional Baker that we carry on so many different multiple projects on a tight team, and still able to move these projects forward at pace. We're really recently kind of looking at different areas of the business, such as hot hold, which would allow us to the opportunity to kind of cater for the coffee shop market, the supermarket that have hot holds near the fresh deli centres. But it is new business to us. It's not something we've done previously. There's lots of technical things that we need to address through from the flow wrap in the machinery to how we print on that particular material, how the product sits, feels, and smells and tastes when it's cooked in a different scenario as opposed to a commercial oven. And there's lots of elements that from I guess from a head of marketing you have to be involved in. But what it does mean is the day-to-day running of marketing does fall upon your team to keep things aligned, to keep those campaigns moving, make sure that the content calendar is still happening, because it's such an easy task that once you kind of let 1 or 2 days slip, all of a sudden that calendar becomes a plan that is never carried forward. So I guess the best thing you can do is surround yourself with a team that really do contribute, also kind of pull in the same direction. And that will come down to managerial style as well, I guess, because you do need to kind of bring these people together. But again, the people that kind of work with you, they're the real champions of the marketing side.
Yeah, definitely. It's really nice to hear that you've got a good team.
Yeah, it's a small team, and I think that allows us to understand each other. There are pain thresholds within any kind of business. Marketing is easily touched upon because a lot of it is so subjective. So making sure that you are all on the same kind of understanding of where the business is, what the tone of voice is, from an aesthetical point of view, from a copywriting point of view, allowing you to carry that through without that kind of granular inspection of whether it's right or wrong, and really believing and trusting in your team. It's amazing.
Good. So is there anything that smaller brands or smaller product-based businesses could learn from a bigger company?
Really owning your story. I think the food market in particular do this really well. It's a noisy market, as I mentioned, in the food sector. But authenticity and provenance win every time. So we're really doubling down on storytelling, telling people what we do and why we do it. And I've mentioned before, you can't appease everybody, but staying true to your brand core values, your audience will become aligned with you. So any small businesses, try not to do the scattergun approach where you're posting on every single media outlet, trying to do updates, needless updates just for the sake of it to have a presence. Give value, give education, tell people the processes, the people, and why you do what you do. So do less, do better, I think is kind of the core message there. You don't have to try and do everything. Just do what you do well.
Yeah. And I always say when I start with a client, particularly on strategy, let's get one thing right first and then we'll move on, because you can't, as a small business owner, you can't do everything. And so let's just get one thing sorted first and then we'll figure out the rest.
We're here saying about my job role, and in marketing I'm part copyright, part designer, part SEO. But when you're a small business owner, and in some instances you're a one-man band, two-man band maybe, and you are literally running from pillar to post, trying to do everything. You're the salesperson, you're the web designer, you're looking for affiliate marketing, influencer marketing. You can't do it all. So find what you can do well. The rest will expand from there.
Yeah, definitely. So is there a challenge that you've faced, that you've had to work through recently, that you could share?
Yeah, I'll touch on it again because I think it's been the most not only recent challenge, but it's been the biggest challenge, was the rebrand from the original baker. So Gill, who founded the business many years ago, is no marketeer in her own words. She was a visionary in the food industry. One of the problems, I guess, that she faced was communication. How can she tell people about the wonderful ingredients, the wonderful people behind the scene? And a lot of that kind of got lost in translation. And there was areas of focus which didn't necessarily add value, but because it had been said so many times, it becomes fabric of the business. And when we did a rebrand 18 months ago, it was really trying to understand not only who we are as a business, but who are our audience, who are our customers that are actually buying the product. Now, we weren't going to try and align everything we do for those people. We are who we are, and we make the product how we do it because we believe in those values. But it's that understanding process. Who are the people that's actually looking for our product? That rebrand, as I mentioned as well, allowed us the opportunity to refresh a lot of our creatives, and that was the photography. We had a wonderful team to come in and do a full rebrand of all of our products, lifestyle shots that I think are probably some of the best in the market, if I'm quite honest, especially within the wholesale sector, which is quite unusual. Whenever you kind of look at wholesale, it's very CeeLo images, white background. We've kind of tilted it more of a B2C vision and aesthetics, but it's really brought to life the primality of our product. And again, that shift of, okay, there's a brand refresh, there's a redesign, different tone of voice. How do we now not alienate that core customer base that we've worked so hard to build over the course of the years, that do love and champion our product, and they don't think that it's just been taken over by somebody else and we've kind of cut corners and it's a new product. It's still the same wonderful product that they've always known and loved. There's just now a new way for us to communicate our values to our customers. And I guess that has been the biggest challenge. It really has. Trying to align all of those, not only externally for our customers, but internally as well. We had many stakeholders who had different opinions of how the brand should move forward, which the avenues were, and trying to bring everybody so there was a cohesive channel for us all to progress through was probably the biggest challenge we faced.
Yeah, I can imagine actually trying to please everybody.
Absolutely. But I think that we all had that end goal. We sell the best product. We made the best product.
Yeah.
To a level, they did have their own opinion. That's, I guess, where we come in to kind of nurture those concerns in a way that allows us to progress. Because I guess we talked a moment ago about what small businesses can learn from. Sometimes you've just got to power forward. Don't always wait for a campaign to be ready. There's sometimes missed opportunities within that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to launch, let it go, learn and develop, and then put that forward into the next campaign.
Yeah.
Quite recently, we're doing some content around winter pairings as we're transitioning to the festive period now. And we had it all ready. The content's been created. The artwork had been done. It had been scheduled. And then a couple of brands within our sector launched almost identical campaigns. And I started getting shared through their content that they've been sharing. And now you kind of sit back and you're like, it feels like you're borrowing their ideas. When it's been completely independent, it was just a case of it's now sat there thinking, should we launch it? Is it going to have the same value as it would have done if we'd have just launched it when we'd done it? But because of that kind of waiting for the correct time and waiting for everything to be ready, we've now missed an opportunity to really kind of lead that conversation.
Oh, that's frustrating.
But
Really
we've got many conversations to have, so we're okay. It's just a case of, when your heart goes into something, you really want it to do well. And I'm sure that our take on that is a different interpretation of those types of pairings. So hopefully the people will still find some value in them.
Yeah, okay. And in terms of the brand refresh, just going back a little bit, was it all led by data, or was there some gut feel? How did you balance that? Because obviously you've got lots of stakeholders to keep happy.
Yeah, so we worked with a creative agency who did a little bit of data analysis for us in terms of the social listening tools that allowed us to understand what the demographic were from an external point of view, from a digital visibility point of view. Who was it that was actually searching for us? Now that is slightly different from our core customer base, from the data that we have using, the CMS system through data that we have the ability to pull from. And aligning those, and again, we talk about those kind of concerns from directorship level, really kind of pulling that information together to create a brand that, the visibility of a brand that understands the market. So we have much a rounded point of view. Our wonderful MD that's come in, Mike, has been in kind of retail, he's been in food service, he's been in it a number of years, has a really fundamental knowledge of all things in the food sector. Our owner, Andrew, who owns several other businesses within kind of independently in the food sector, already had, again, another wonderful knowledge of our business, our core customer base, which really kind of allowed us to not only take data, but merge that with a unwavering amount of knowledge, and it really kind of allowed us to tweak it in a way that was useful in terms of brand positioning. But also, again, we talk about staying true to our values, and that's something that Mike and Andrew were really keen to do. Not deviate too far away from the ethical approach in terms of all the wonderful things that the company do, and a lot of instances businesses don't shout about because it's a reason why it's a premium product, and they try to dull that down a little bit. We're big advocates of the things we do, and we should shout about
it. Good. Good. Okay, so what's something you wish you'd known earlier, either in your marketing career or just throughout work?
I think one of the things I'd like to have known earlier from a managerial point of view is that marketing is more about alignment than just ideas. Some of the deepest insights don't come from dashboards, they come from conversations and being curious. And again, I've just touched on our MD, Mike, who's a wonderful character. And the first thing he said to me was, I want you to be curious, ask questions, Don't just sit there on the data and the analytics side. Walk through the business, see how people are making the product, have conversations with them. They're the people that will tell you about how good the product is, what the benefits are, the things that we do different that they've never seen anywhere else do. And those are the insights that data and analytics and listening tools and dashboards can't explain. And there's no better way to do that than to build relationship with other marketeers and your own team. So some of the best conversations come over a MERN and a bit of a coffee break. So some of the things I'd love to have known earlier was have conversations, be broad in your thinking, and ask questions.
Yeah. And again, it's something I say to clients when I start working with them. When was the last time you talked to your clients? When was the last time you talked to your customers and asked them questions? And they were like, oh, well, we did a survey, like through SurveyMonkey or something like that. But you don't get the golden stuff unless you actually talk to them.
And those surveys are limited because you know that if you stick in 30 questions for a deep dive, it's not going to get answered. So you only stick kind of 5 top line questions in there. And again, there's never really the ability to kind of extract all the information that you need from that. We have at the Original Baker, we've got a wonderful sales team who are on the road constantly talking to our customers, helping with tasting events, talking to them about marketing on our behalf of what we can do, how we can amplify the presence within the delis or the counters. So we've got champions on the road constantly who are in communication with our customers, and it doesn't only help us allow to build our brand presence, but it aligns what we do in marketing with what they actually need. A lot of marketers like, here's the resources, that's done, we've pushed that out, pull what you need from it, where we have the ability to really tailor some of these aspects. And all this, again, starts through conversations with our customers.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely worth doing. One of the things I was talking about the other day actually was when I've been to do a category review and I've been in supermarkets, for example, I always feel like I have to buy something or carry a basket round with me, so they don't just feel like I'm there to
just there on a sales pitch. Absolutely.
But actually, if you get chatting to the staff on the shop floor, you learn a heck of a lot as well. So it's worth going in, not just looking online or whatever. It's worth going in because you can have those conversations. It's brilliant.
And we try to do a lot of networking events. I said we do tasting sessions, but we also ask our customers, those that are willing to partake in becoming a brand ambassador by taking part in customer case studies, and we will put some of those on our website. We try not to make it too salesy because ultimately this is their story, not ours. So trying to get their presence over of why they decided to run with our products, what made them decide that, yes, it was maybe a little bit more of a premium product, but why then, did they choose to go with us? And it might be more than just the product. It is the brand, the people behind the scenes, the sales manager who constantly WhatsApp them to see if there's anything more we can do. All these little things that are easily bypassed on the day-to-day, they allow us to really kind of tell their story in a way that other people can respect it, understand it. And again, there's no better accolade than your customers and your employees. So that's absolutely the best form of marketing.
Brilliant. Is there anything that's working for you in the business right now that others could learn from?
Yeah, I think we touched on this as a quick conversation before we were recording. The opportunity to step back sometimes is something that isn't done enough. It's not sometimes looked upon in a manner that is contributing. But sometimes you need to step back and think about your goals, your plan. We come in, there's a 9 o'clock meeting, there's an 11 o'clock meeting, there's a 3 o'clock meeting. and those few hours in between, you're trying to do your day-to-day job role. As we've transitioned, and I mentioned this before, we're coming into Q4, which means there's 2026 planning, there's budget planning. There doesn't seem to be enough hours in the day, but sometimes you just need the ability to kind of take yourself off, whether that's in a meeting room, whether you get the opportunity to work from home or in a quiet space, and just take a breather. Everything can feel like you're running 1,000 miles an hour sometimes, but so those best ideas come through conversation. So take a step back, a little bit of a breather. You don't always have to run 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, I think from a strategy point of view, that's exactly what I make business owners do, is stop. What is it you want to achieve? And then we go from there. So
Absolutely.
it's quite reflective, because they might not have thought about that before, or they might not have thought of it in that way.
And it's difficult because, you've got, like with many SMEs, you're balancing that brand building with short-term sale pressure.
Yeah.
And when you live it day to day, and you see the sales numbers, and you're always trying to move the dial, especially in small teams, it's a real test.
Yeah.
But you do need to allow the opportunity to people to really bring to life the things that they do want to do and achieve within the business. And giving them the ability and freedom to do that, and the patience to do that, is really key.
Yeah. And I think what they want to achieve can change quite quickly, and what was a goal 6 months ago or 3 months ago has actually changed. And
Absolutely.
it's important to keep reflecting on that, because if you don't, you're aiming towards something that you're not actually, or you're working towards something that you're not even aiming for anymore.
Absolutely, and that goes whether it's business goals or personal goals within the industry. We've our goals have slightly changed since the beginning of the year, realigning the forecast of where we will be at the end of the year. And sometimes you do have to be reactive as opposed to proactive. You can plan ahead as much as you want, but things can change. The world works in strange ways, and consumers behave differently sometimes depending on how news comes out. We all talk about cost of living and the impact of fuel going up, and even import of products. We're feeling it ourselves, that pressure of importing certain products, whether that's in the dairy or the meat. And it's a pressure, and it doesn't mean that you have to be reactive in some instances. So it's never a bad thing. It means that you're shifting with trends, with the ability to have that flexibility and not stay rigid, which sometimes can really do hinder you if you try to stick to a goal and don't move out that box. It sometimes can really impact the business going forward.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything, has there been a moment that made you think, am I the only one who?
In reality, it's probably on a daily basis. I think some of the things that's made me think that recently would probably be, again, we talk about this protective time. I like to call it protective time because it's my time. It's my time to step back and think. And within kind of marketing, you're asked to do a lot of things, and it can be anything from being a brand guardian. So you're picking up those complaints, the reviews that might be coming through on Trustpilot, Google reviews. It might be creating some point of sale for location. There's lots of aspects to marketing, and when you're a tight team, you don't have that protective time because there's always something that needs to be done. But sometimes you really can lose focus of what you're trying to achieve. So the thing that makes me feel like am I the only one trying to do a bit of everything. But within that chaos, a lot of us creatives thrive when it's looming deadline day and you pull something out the hat with just a few hours to spare, or you work tirelessly over a couple of weeks for a campaign for that to finish, and 5 minutes later you're already working on the next one. Absolutely love what I do. And I can't wait to see kind of what the future brings on that. And just enjoy it. You don't know what things are just around the corner. So we have some things that we're working on currently that feels like it could be, quite an joyful project to work on. In 2026, there's lots of things we've got planned happening. So I'm quite excited to see those all come to fruition.
That's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what it is now.
We'll catch up in a few months, I'm sure.
Okay. So before we wrap up, is there, if people want to get in touch with you, would like to find out more about products, or would like to have a chat with you, what's the best way for people to connect with you?
I mean, on a personal note, LinkedIn, I'm not on there enough. I answer questions. I talk to people a lot. I don't particularly post a great deal, but it's something I'm wanting to evolve and work on. I think not only things like this, there's lots of opportunity to really talk to other people about different areas of marketing. I've worked very closely with a company called Connected 3 recently. I've known them for a lot of years, but more on a personal level. They're an amazing team of creatives who bounce lots of different ideas, different avenues, from SEO to media producing, creative content. And having those conversations just allow you to really think about what it is you can do internally. So LinkedIn is the place for me in terms of creative. Certainly, if for anybody interested about the Original Baker products, please do get in touch. We've got a telephone number and email address and a contact form, both all on the website. Again, similarly, we have our social channels, so any DMs will be answered. But yeah, please do reach out if you've got any questions.
Great. I will pop all those links in the description as well.
Thank you.
So thank you for joining me, Kevin. I'm Gill Bishop. My business is Cherry Aid Marketing. I work with FMCG businesses that want to get clarity on their marketing strategy, or need help getting their story straight for supplying into retail. So if you'd like to know more about that, you can subscribe to my newsletter. Again, I will pop all the links so you can connect with me and subscribe below. Thank you ever so much for joining us.
An absolute pleasure. Thank you.